Hello there, guys. My name is Michael, and we're going to be continuing on with our playthrough of Dark Souls 2, this time by going to Huntsman's Copse. First, I'm thinking of beefing up this greatsword a little bit higher than it is, with the new upgrade materials that we got. I'm probably not going to use it past the next area, though, because, like I said, it's pretty damn good. In fact, I think I might even get it up higher than a +4. Because, yeah, it's like that. I'm not going to change my armor this time because I like my end armor from the last game. And I'm really still puzzled about this shield and that archdrake thing being there. It really, I mean, it shouldn't have been. I don't know what the heck it was doing there. Now, in order to upgrade your weapon, you need 6 Titanite shards, 6 large shards, 6 chunks, and 1 slab to get it up higher. In the original game, we would almost certainly not have been able to get up, even up past into the large shard stage with our weaponry at this point, because there was a rather difficult boss that I think was designed to be confusing and tough, guarding what we needed to get up to ascend our weapon from +5 to +6. In Dark Souls 1, the weapons went from +1 to +5 with shards, +6 to +10 with large shards, and +11 to +14 with chunks. Here is Lycia, and again, I just got lucky going down here. I think it was a mistake, and I saw her. I completely understand why you would just completely miss her. Especially because this is the area that you have to go down to the area that you should go in the first part. I'll explain that in a minute. 2,000 soul, that's not a lot. And she will change the path to over there so we can get into Huntsman's Copse. I didn't quite understand what they were trying to do here. I think I heard from one of the Let's Players that she's trying to trick you or something, but I never got that impression from her. Shut up. But I never really got that impression from her. I mean, I assumed that we were just paying her to use that mechanism. I didn't understand that she was trying to trick us, that it only runs on miracles. But when we kill her much later in the game, you actually get a little device that moves it. It doesn't require miracles. This is Rouge Water here. And Rouge Water, if I can find it, is a pretty useless item. I think it is a combination Estus Flask and Amber Herb. Yeah, restores HP and spell uses. But you already have tons of items that you can purchase that can restore health, and other items that can restore spell uses. So why would you bother carrying around that thing that does both? I mean, I guess it is kind of useful, but I've never been in a situation where I needed to do both immediately. And if I was, I would probably be pretty close to death, as it were. I've fallen off the edge here before, embarrassingly. And Huntsman's Copse. Here it is. And here is an interesting fellow that you need to talk to if you want to perform hexes.
I don't know who you are, but leave me be. The frailty of the weak disrupts the dark. Leave me alone. I'm interested in one thing, dark, and you haven't the gift. Leave me alone. I'm interested
Okay, that's his entire thing. This is where you want to go to get your hexes. This guy is in a strange wooden chair here, and he is called Felkin the Hexer, or Felkin the Outcast, I think. And he is an odd fellow. Let's see if I can get a closer look at him. Can't really see him under that silly draping he's wearing over his head there. But Felkin is... The rest of his armor is actually pretty cool. He's where you want to go to get those hexes early on in the game. Hexing is an interesting thing in Dark Souls 2 that they added, whereby you can cast spells that rely on having both faith and intelligence, rather than one or the other. And your hexes, the power of them are determined by the lower stat. Your scaling, for instance, in Dark, if you have 20 intelligence and 19 faith, your scaling is going to be with that 20 intelligence. It's going to be with the slightly higher of the two stats. So if you have 50 intelligence and 48 faith, it's going to scale with the higher one, I believe. But I'm not doing hexes in this game, and he won't even talk to us unless we have, I think it's 10 faith and 10 intelligence, that mixture. Or maybe it's 12, I'm not sure. And, however, when you talk to him, this is kind of an odd thing. If you have 20 faith and 20 intelligence, which is very reasonable to get pretty early on in the game, he will give you his complete set. Just hand you over his armor and his staff, which is probably the best dark-related staff in the game, or one of the best. It's certainly the coolest looking. The sunset staff. Hexes in this game, I don't think were done especially well. They were... The basic hexes that you get are kind of big and slow and difficult to use in PvP. And some of the more powerful hexes are ridiculously powerful. I mean, they're like ludicrously powerful. I think they've even been nerfed and are still sort of too powerful. Those are butterflies we're going to encounter in this area. They have, they emit some poison dust. I think they drop the poison moss thing. As you can see, they're pretty easy to kill. I mean, it is a butterfly, after all. This is another area like the Lost Bastille that I am not enamored with. I really just don't care for this section of the game. I don't think it looks too good. I'm not crazy about the blue as opposed to, although those birds over there, could those be the birds over in Forest of Fallen Giants? I don't know. It does look pretty cool at times when you are when you're looking at this forest, and maybe you can picture you're in Ravenloft or something, but ultimately I don't like it. It's too blue, it's too dark. I think that more browns and reds and yellows are more what I think of with Dark Souls 2. Now you see this is another place where they had a design idea that they used one time and then just completely gave up with. You see these things here in the wall? In that room, it's supposed to be very dark. It is not. And you can smash these open either with a bow or with a sword and make the enemies easier to see. However, this area is pretty easy, and you don't quite have to do that, so there's no point. And you only do that one time. So, I mean, that seems like something that you should do multiple times in each game. Not just this one point in this one level. Again, like in the Forest of Fallen Giants, it's like they invented a gameplay element and then gave up. This is another area right here, where this door, it will be bashed open by this enemy. Something that can't happen anywhere else in the game, I think. Or virtually not. There was that that guy in No Man's Wharf who smashed open the door, the monstrosity thing. So there was that one thing, but that was about it. And this next area is completely pointless to go into. We are going to go into it, just to show it to you. But, I mean, it's a freaking gank. Look at this. There's a guy with arrows. There's a guy on the floor. This is just a tip to game designers. There has to be a reason for your characters, for players to go into your area. You can't just say, here's a part of the game, and then just put nothing useful in it. Of course they're just going to avoid it. Why would they bother going in there? Especially when it's like a freaking trap, and there's a bunch of enemies around here. I think in the original beta of this game, there was a great axe or something in here. There's some sort of weapon, but it's not here now. It's just some basic soul items. And what is this pit down here? I mean, we don't even know what the heck this thing is. Don't lose your cool and go full retard on that bandit's knife, by the way. It's been seriously nerfed from the original game. It has really crummy scaling now. I think it's, the other bandit's knife I think started out with like a B or an A scaling in dexterity. And look at this, it scales with strength, not with dex? What the heck? Somebody really hated bandits in this game. And they really, they just nerfed everything about them. Bandits' armor is stupid. The bandit's knife is now this crummy piece of crap. The enemies that we're fighting in this game, by the way, are essentially bandits or robbers or criminals. The Huntsman's Copse was another example of the pretty strong brutality of Dreng Lake as compared to other places. In this game, we discover that the undead were not just shunned like they were in Dark Souls 1 and incarcerated. They were openly attacked. They were placed into these horrible arena-like places, like this area and up there. That's sort of a coliseum, and they were mocked and killed and brutalized for sport, which is pretty grim and pretty sad. And it's not the only place in Dreng Lake where this happened. They treated the undead like garbage in a bunch of places, which is really, really unfortunate. I can't believe that they did that. Let's go down this ladder here. And here we have another totally pointless design element here. This tree, remember the tree in the first level of the game, in the tutorial? Or this is the one other area you kick down a tree. And guess what? There's no need to, because there's a bonfire right in here. Come on, guys. This sounds like something that should have been fixed in the alpha, or before it, when you were actually just sketching out how you were going to design the game. It doesn't make any sense at all for that to be there. Come on, guys. Why? Why would you do that? I mean, there's no point at all. Oh, is that a... Oh. I don't know if that guy's going to get up, and I'm going to kill him anyway. Because this is a place for the undead to be punished, after all. Yes, I can hit him from here. There is an item down here that I originally thought was pretty cool and pretty happy that I went down to find. That is, until I found that there really is no point to getting it here. There's an item down here at the bottom that I'm going to show you. If I die, I'm just going to go back to the bonfire over there and come back. There's not much... Oh, wait a minute. No, I'm not fat rolling. Let's see, do I have to jump down there, or can I roll? With absolutely full health when I do this, because I feel like I may fall. I don't usually do this. Oh, good. Now let's see, can I... No, that's not one of the butterflies, that's the guy down there. Alright. You can go down to these mushrooms here. That's kind of cool. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Oh boy. That guy down there is not exactly tough, but he is fast. You can backstab these guys. This is another enemy in the area. These guys were sort of torturers of the undead. Dead because of the poison. God damn it. Alright. I'm going to go back there and try that again. Damn poison. I think these guys, I think if you get their weapons, they say that they were responsible for strange ancient rites or something like that, or they used them in odd rituals. What exactly those rituals were, I'm not sure. But they do seem like they were pretty despicable if they were in this area. Why would they mock and torture the undead? I guess it's just to kind of feel better about themselves and their own, recognizing their own mortality. Oh, that's right. I was wondering why that wasn't doing the damage it was, but I have to bring the blades off. See if I can do this. Okay. I hate the jumping in this game. This item down here is a dex weapon. It's a rapier. So if you're not a dex character, you don't have to worry about it. A strong attack does knock him down. Oh. There you go. Get a little revenge on you, pal. It's also a little confusing if you go down here and you may not know where you need to go to get out. There's my bloodstain. It's probably poison moss. Yes, it is. Might want to equip a poison moss now that I think about it. Okay. And this is it. Ricard's Rapier. This was a unique, interesting item in Dark Souls 1. Where are you? There we go. And it has a really cool moveset. With the strong attack, he sort of puts it up against his face like this dueling move and then thrusts multiple times. This can be devastating against player characters, especially if you buff it. Unfortunately, I don't have the dex to use it, and strangely enough, like I said before, there's not really any reason to come down and get it here. Because you're probably not going to have the dex to use it yet anyway, at 25, and you can get it as a random drop from enemies in a place called Brightstone Cove, Seldora. In fact, there are a lot of enemies in this game that have weird, that drop weird items that they seem like they should not. I love going up in this cage thing, like in the Bastille. But, it's just more about, I think there are spikes on it, maybe. Maybe. More evidence that the undead were really brutalized in this game. And this is a secret area that leads us back to that gank room that I was talking about before. Although we are going to make an attempt. Oh boy. I don't care for you, sir. Those are just hollows, I think, so I'm probably safe running through. Yeah, I'm just not that fond of this area. It doesn't... There are other parts of the Souls games, especially in Demon Souls, where we got to see evidence of the hideous brutality of the... of people that tortured the undead, especially in the Tower of Latria, my favorite part of Demon Souls. It was just, it was hellish. It was a torture chamber in there. And you really got... The atmosphere was just so much better. But in this game, it doesn't really work. I don't really get an impression of suffering from these guys. Why are there bandits here anyway? I mean, I guess it is a forest, but why? I mean, it just seems like there should be horrible prisoners being tormented by guards like in Latria. But instead there aren't. There are these bandit guys and these patchwork undead, which we're about to see in a second. Oops-a-daisy. Perils of having a big heavy weapon. This guy can drop a torch with pretty good regularity, but he did not because he doesn't like me. And, a big problem with this game is a problem with some areas of Dark Souls 1. I know where everything is and where I need to go, so I just run straight through there without even bothering. Like this, I never pick this up. I'm just picking it up to show you what's down here. And there's an entire section of this level that is totally useless. The path that you need to go down is, I'm going to show you, I'm going to fight this guy here. You can actually backstab these guys, which is pretty interesting. They have weird sickle-like weapons. Shocked I lived through that. And these weird sickle weapons there, I think you can get, but they look ridiculous. They're too big. And where you need to go if you want to go to any of the two bosses in this area is skirt around this side and go up there or go up there. But there's this big chunk of the level over here that is totally useless. It's completely empty of things that you want, and you have no reason ever to go there. So why in the world would you bother? What's the point of going there, and why did they design the game like that? You should be forced to go through this whole level, and maybe include some interesting items in there, and then get to the other side. But here, I just run up here and totally ignore that area down there. There are two bandits here waiting to sneak up on you. There you are. There are also two bandits with, whatchamacallit, with bows up here, so just be careful. Ooh, did poison damage. Those poison arrows they got? Ugh. There we go. Now, in order to raise this bridge here, this bridge, by the way, looks way too modern. This looks like a steel girder bridge from the early 20th century. I don't know what this bridge is doing here. You need to go into that room there and pull a lever. Unfortunately, there's a guy waiting on top to hit you. So, yeah, that surprised me once, the first time I played this game, and never again. So, yeah. Good job. Now, I don't think that I'm going to be going down to that area that I said was useless right away. Because, like I said, it's useless. There's no point to it. There's no items down there that I can remember that are useful. But I will show you this one thing over here. If you drop down to this top area, you can get a soul item, which is not there. It's right here. Soul Spear. What in the Lord's name is Soul Spear doing here? Soul Spear you need 40 intelligence to use. You can't use that yet. You're not even close to being there, even later on in the game. I mean, 40 intelligence. Why would they leave that there? Why? Why would they leave that Ricard's Rapier there? I have no idea. But if you're a sorcery character, you're going to have to grab that. You might as well get it now, while you're here. In this next little area here to the right, there is a bonfire. But we don't have the key yet. In that room, do not go in there. There is no point to it. There is a mace, I believe you can get a magic mace up in here, but there are skeleton enemies that you have to fight. And these skeleton enemies are resurrected by necromancers just behind them. So going in there and fighting them is not a good idea. There's a guy around the corner here. This whole area just seems so pedestrian to me. I mean, it doesn't feel this way in Demon's Souls, where I can go into an area, 10 times, and always seem to get lost in it somehow. Like, I'm even now I can get lost in the Tower of Latria. But this area just seems so repetitive and kind of boring. There we go. We're going to be getting the key to that area just down here. Seems really unfair that I have this this item in this section. In the next video, I'm probably going to be switching over to another weapon that I'm going to get once we beat the boss of this area. We can once we beat the boss of this area, this is the quickest way to get those fragrant branches of yore, the items that will unpetrify enemies. In fact, you can get 2 of them immediately in the next area, and I think you don't even have to fight an enemy. You can just run to them. So, yeah, I mean, that's nice. Undead Lockaway key. Shouldn't this area be full of prison areas, or maybe, you know what would have been a good idea? They should put a hunting lodge here. That would have been interesting, to look through the decaying remnants of a hunting lodge of people that hunted the undead. The story behind here is that even though the people were sent to have hunting parties attacking the undead and, hunting them for sport, the hunters themselves eventually became undead. And let's just light this bonfire, but I'm not going to rest at it, because I want to go back up to the other area. And let's talk to you, Crate Namira. This guy's talking about paint. What is that item there? I know he uses an axe later. Ha ha ha. You don't want pricks in your cheeks. This is another really unfortunate design choice of the game. Originally, in Dark Souls 1 and Demon's Souls, there was a character that used a shotl. In Demon's Souls, he was called Yurt, and in Dark Souls 1, he was called Lautrec, Knight Lautrec the Embraced. And both of these guys were sinister murderers who it became clear were a little bit off and a little bit dark, and began murdering people around you, and eventually probably would attack you, and would do nasty things. And you had to decide to take care of him, to kill him, to stop his murderous rampages. But what they did in this game, instead, was to take these 2 characters of Patches and Lautrec and make them fighting and robbing one another instead of the player. However, this just makes the player feel like he's not involved in the game that he's playing. It's interesting to change it, but they should have just kept it the normal way, because now you're not even involved. You're not present. You can go home. You're not here for this this whole section. Yet that is a trap. Do not go in there. There's no point in going in there. Except maybe to get that magic mace. I think I did use that on my first playthrough because I was kind of struggling. And that magic mace did help me out a bit. This next area, I believe there is another archer hollow coming up. And then after that, we have an NPC invader. And is this our first NPC invader? Maybe. This NPC invader is named Merciless Rowena, or Merciless Rowena. And she can be pretty darn tough. And what you really, she's a spellcaster, and what you really want to do is to close with her as quickly as possible. You don't want to give her any time to fight against you. I don't know exactly when it is she spawns. I think it's when you move across here somewhere. There she is. And you just want to get to her as fast as you can. I probably shouldn't have even waited there to use that life gem. Because you don't want to fight her where I'm fighting her. You want to fight her maybe over there. She's also using something called the Bone Scythe, which is a pretty darn good weapon for a strength character. It looks a little odd, though. Oh, Merciless Rowena, we hardly knew ye before you died. Alright. Now this next boss is called the Skeleton Lord boss, and it's an interesting one, because what happens in it is, as you're fighting the boss, it's really just 3 skeletal mages, and they're fighting at, trying to hit you with their staff and firing fireballs at you. But what you want to do during this fight is be very, very careful, because you'll notice you're in a room full of bones, and every time you kill one of these 3 mages, a horde of skeletons spawns in their place and begins attacking you. So, yeah, just be careful when you head in there. You may also want to equip some firebomb type type weapons here to throw at the mobs of skeletons that are going to be coming. I think what they wanted you to do is to slowly do away with the enemies until they, gradually reduce them in health. But I think that's a bad idea, because fighting these guys and the skeletons is not easy. Yep, up. And you gotta use these pillars to hide from them. Some of the enemies in the game, oh boy, we're gonna have to talk about these guys. The Bone Wheel skeletons. Now this horde of skeletons, now that the 3 skeleton lords are gone, really aren't that tough if it weren't for these guys. You just see them there? Bone Wheel skeletons. These guys were the bane of the existence of many a Dark Souls player. And they are like they're a wheel made of bone that can roll towards you. And every time they roll, they do a little bit of chip damage away at you. And your shield is essentially useless, because the stability is worn away almost immediately when you are attacking them, when you are trying to block. So your shield is knocked away very quickly. And these guys, fortunately, are far easier than they ever were in Dark Souls 1. These guys were absolutely brutal in the first Souls game. But here they're actually pretty simple. You just have to be careful around them. This fight can get very confusing. It can fluster people, especially in New Game Plus, when everybody has more health and you have to worry about that. It used to be that you can come in here and use holy water urns, which were these exploding grenade-type items, but filled with holy magic, and they were actually pretty darn useful. But for some reason they nerfed the holy water urns in one of the patches, for no reason I could see. These guys, I think, can also parry you, which is why I'm being a little bit cautious. Ah! God damn it. There we go. That boss is not all that challenging. Now let's try to go out here and continue exploring this area a little bit more, because I want to see what is out there. If indeed there is anything of value out there. I do know that there is a fire seed and a... I think the spell fireball out here. But we have to be careful because these skeleton guys are not friendly. I've put on the Ring of Life Protection, by the way, just to make this a little easier. What is this? Oh, combustion and a Titanite shard, so not a fire seed. Okay. That's kind of an odd rolling attack, that is that thrust there. And those are the, by the way, over there, the guys throwing the spells. Those are the necromancers that restore these guys to health, but I'm not even going to bother. That whole area is just a big troll. Don't bother going down there. There's no real reason. Let's just continue. I don't think they're following me. No. I guess it's kind of neat that there's a waterfall here, and I love, because of The Legend of Zelda, I love Backo Beyond waterfalls, you know, caves behind waterfalls. I think they're really cool. I'm going to show you another little area that you shouldn't bother going down. Past here. And I don't think I've even been to this area for like a year, because it's literally just a trap. So why would you ever bother going up there? It's just a trap. That's it. Don't bother with it. Don't bother going there. In the next area that we're going to, called Harvest Valley, we can find 2 fragrant branches of yore, so we can unlock that other area with that young lady in it who's been put to stone. And we can also, let's see here, we can also get Strayed, so we can start getting boss weapons from him. I'm pretty sure there's nothing down here. I just want to make absolutely sure there's really nothing there. More of these guys. Yeah, aromatic ooze, that's not useful. These guys, these Patchwork undead guys, kind of remind me of the abominations from Warcraft 3. I think they look pretty neat, but ultimately they're... Meh. I don't know, there's just something about this area that doesn't quite look cool to me. Doesn't quite look right. I think this area can be used to have fun fighting during invasions, so, I mean, that's something. Life gem, nothing. But why would you go down here when you can be poisoned, or you can be killed? I mean, and get nothing in return. And is there a secret area down here? I can't remember if there's like a little door you can go through. Somewhere down in this section. It's still blowing my mind, this shield thing, every time I look at it, that I went through the game, and I must... Yeah, there is a little secret passage down here. I don't know if, again, it's probably not something useful, but... Probably going to be ganked by an enemy from above. I just have a sense of it. Oh, you can get a Morning Star here? Oh, good. You mean you can get that thing that you got at the very beginning of the game? Wonderful. Everybody's going to want to go in there. Jeez. Alright, I don't think there's anything else here. I'm going to go to Harvest Valley, and then I'm going to end the level. I really like this hat, though. I think in the next one, I'm going to briefly pop into Harvest Valley to get the Fragrant Branch of Yore, and then get some upgrade items. Then I'm going to go grab a better, or not a better, but a new weapon. Actually, probably a worse weapon, but I want a different weapon at this point, because, you know, I've been using, this is obviously a cheater weapon. It is so good for a strength build. I've barely been, I mean, what level am I? I'm only level 42. And, I mean, I barely have, oh, this guy did follow me down here. And I'm able to one-shot various enemies in the game, so that's pretty pathetic. So I'm glad to leave this area behind, because even though I don't like this place, I like the next area quite a bit. I like Harvest Valley. It's also not a very difficult area, but it is much cooler looking. I think the design is much better. For some reason, this game is really, really persnickety about you not being able to go back and retrace your steps in certain areas. We're going to notice over and over again that the game seems to be going out of its way to have a ledge or a fall or something that means you can go down to this point, but you can't get back up. This is especially bad in the area with the Duke's Deer Freya. It's really awful there. This next area, by the way, is the poison level, so you may want to bring a few of those poison mosses with you. And here it is. We have the ladder here. Oh, wait a minute. There we go. We have a ladder we can go down, but we can't go up. Why? Why can't I go from this area to that? If they're, I can see if maybe you need a loading screen or something to disguise, fine. But just don't make me not able to go through it. So, just going to rest here at the bonfire. And I will see you for Harvest Valley later on. Bye-bye.